All right, over the last 7 years, I've sold $3 iced lattes as a barista, $10 million worth of pest control, door-to-door, $10,000 coaching programs over Zoom on the laptop. And I've started the largest #1 women's sales academy where I've taught over 9,000 students how to do the same thing.
This is Shelby Sapp. You've probably seen her all over socials at the moment. So today we're going to break down, can Shelby Sapp actually sell, or is she a massive scam? So we're going to go through the entire video, pull some of the good parts out, remove some of the bad. You know what we do. My name is Caleb Lassar. I'm responsible for millions of dollars of deals being done in a consultative and non-alpha bro sleazy way. So if you love that, stay tuned. We're going to get straight into the content today.
Okay, so I'm going to teach you the right way to truly sell somebody through question-based selling to create true urgency with your client. Okay, we do this by exposing the wide open gap in creating inner tension that triggers a deep sense of urgency to actually make a change right now.
Yep, this is spot on. This is exactly what our method, cognitive dissonance, does.
I like to say this is the art of creating internal stress for your client. I know it's not as bad as it sounds, okay, so stick with me. Okay, so when you first try to sell a client, you don't sell, you ask. So the first bucket of questions that I want you to ask them looks like this. We call them current state questions. Okay, we need to...
This is really good so far. Like, this is the kind of stuff that we teach in our playbook, is elicit what's happening for them right now.
Figure out what is going on with our client and what their issues are right now. We ask two different types
Wow, am I going to have something in common with Shelby Sapp? I did not expect this. This is really cool.
questions. Okay, we ask probing questions, which are very surface level questions, just kind of like poking around the bear. What's going on? When did this start? And then we ask a little bit of a deeper layer of questions called provoking questions. These are similar to probing, where you're trying to figure out what's going on, but you add a layer of emotion to it. So like, well, why are you unhappy with that? Okay, the reason that we ask these types of questions is because this creates a release of the stress hormone called cortisol.
I actually like this. It's debatable that this would release cortisol. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I think if there's bro science, we have girl science as well. And I think there's a little bit of girl science there. Is cortisol's not necessarily going to be triggered from talking about problems.
Okay, so cortisol is what your brain releases when you're a little bit stressed. When someone's talking about how unhappy they are going through this problem, they get a little stressed about their problem, okay? This is good. This will help us create the inner tension. Then we transition from asking about the current state to asking about their goals. We call these desired state questions. This is essentially, if everything works out perfectly, if you were to wave a magic wand in 6 months and everything went away, what would you do? Take me through your day. If everything were to be solved in a perfect world, what does that look like to you?
This is awesome. She's actually nailing it. These are really good questions. And this is a really good framework. And we have this model called the problem scale, where level 1 is these provoking questions where it's like, so what's going on now? Blah, blah, blah. You know, tell me some of the symptoms of why sales is bad for you. It's kind of establishing the facts. But we actually don't stop there. We go a level deeper, where we say we use time as a consequence. So phase 2 would be time. So it's how long has that been going on for? If nothing changes in 12 months, then what would happen? So we use time to take that initial problem that we had and to stretch it out. Then the third thing we do is we ask identity level problems, which is, so if all of this stayed the same, so we've been here for 12 months, you said it was going to be A, B, C, how specifically is that a problem for you? So we go the third layer deeper, which is we create a level of problem that speaks to their identity. Well, I wouldn't like that. That's not who I want to be. That would suck. That would be the end of my business. We want really strong consequence problems on the back end there, but on the same on the other side, right? So we would say, so where do you want to be? You want to be closing, 20%, 30%, you want to have a closer. Why does that matter to you? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, if we fast forward 18 months into the future and we had those things, what would the business be like? Right? So we have phase 1, establish the facts. Phase 2, stretch it out with time. That'd be great. I'd have more time to do ABC. I would scale my team. I would run more marketing. I would make more commission. Okay, with all of that, then what would you do? So expanding. I'd go traveling. I'd scale the business. I'd get more clients. I'd prep to sell the business. I'd take myself on a holiday, whatever. Where would you go? Expanding. Then one final time, if you achieved all of that, what's the great purpose for that? What's the grander purpose? What are you doing all of this for? Why does all of this even matter? So then we get into that third level, which is an identity level. So now we have this little gap that we've created, but it's built with time and it's also built on idea. And that is what we call cognitive dissonance. She might get there in this training, but that's how we do it.
This is what the client wants. Okay, when a client is talking about their problem being solved, this pain being relieved, and in a happy-go-lucky scenario where everything is perfect, this is what it would feel like. We do this because this actually releases the happy feel-good chemicals, okay? oxytocin and serotonin. Okay, when somebody is talking about their goals and themselves achieving it, and you're putting them in the state of telling me about this, walk me through this, their brain literally reveals happy, feel good.
I think there's a little bit of buzzword going on here where it's like, this will happen if, and this will happen when. It's not wrong, but to say that it will is very bold. And it's assuming a lot about the power of your questions, and it's oversimplifying an idea. So in order for that to be true, you need deep rapport with this person. You actually need to see a physiological response. So if a clue is like, if someone takes a deep breath, right? If their physiology changes where they go, it really sucks, to be honest. Like it's weighing on me. Like if you see a physiological response, then I can argue, yes, you probably are releasing some kind of cortisol. Same on the other side. If you see them visibly excited, like if their eyes widen, maybe they tear up, then potentially you're having a hormonal response change. But I just want to add that caveat there because it's oversimplifying a really complex idea. It's like, if you ask this question, serotonin will be released. No, this girl science, okay? And like, mad respect, Shelby, so far. I actually didn't realize that you sold this well, but let's keep going and let's not pretend that girl science is real science right now.
Okay, but then, like I said, this is a triad, so we got the third part coming back. We need to bring them back down to reality a little bit. We call this cost of inaction, which is essentially, okay, well, let's pretend in 6 months nothing does change, right? Because nothing has changed right now. Take me through that. Well, if nothing changes, I would be in the exact same spot. I would be going through the exact same current state, right? And what does this do? This releases the same cortisol, the stress hormones, okay? So we literally took them through 3 different levels, asking about their current state. Then we transitioned to desired state. Then we went straight back down to cost of inaction. What happens if nothing changes?
So I think this is actually where she starts to contradict herself, right? So like, if this is really about brain science, you want to end on the positive hormones being released. Otherwise, why did you bother doing that? So if you created cortisol and then you removed it and you created oxytocin, you're creating cortisol again. So like, what was the point of the oxytocin? You just eliminated it. And so the sequence matters a lot. And this is the reason why we do consequence questions or cost of inaction in the current moment. We don't ping between the two. It's because it's jarring for the brain, right? If the brain has to produce cortisol, if it is producing cortisol, right? If it does produce cortisol and then it produces oxytocin and then it produces cortisol again, that's so jarring. It's like ping, 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 ping. That's not a great experience when you're selling or when you're being on the receiving end. So this is why we bake it into the question with the problem scale. So establish the facts. What are the consequences of that facts? What happens if nothing changes using time? So facts, time, and identity. Get all of the stress hormone there, then go to the future and do the same there. Then we transition into the sale through something called reverse selling, which will be on the pace of this video. But essentially what reverse selling does is we summarize the difference while they're in peak state. And then we ask them, what do you need from us in order to close that gap? And we get them to tell us the reasons why. Then we pre-handle objections and then we close the sale. There should be a workshop somewhere here on the channel. I think it's everything you need to know to close more deals without sounding salesy or something. But if you check out the channel, there should be a workshop. It's like 90 minutes long. I ran it for my paid clients. It's packed to the brim with value. So I'll either put it in one of the thingies up here or down in the description. But this is my major critique here. And I see this all the time in all of the sales training. You do all of this great work with gap building and then you shit on it because you get the order wrong. And if the idea is this sells to the brain, this is another big contradiction. And I think this is some of the problem that I've seen here is like, these ideas are half-baked because they are a fancy idea that they like the sound of. It's a buzzword, but they haven't quite put all of the pieces together in a sequence that makes logical sense. But, flowers, where it's due, it's better than what I thought. And there is substance here. And I think we're starting to see the lack of experience in actual consultative sales start to shine through a little bit in the nuance, right? This is very, yay, if I'm a beginner, clap my hands, I can make sales. But if you get more sophisticated and you know your stuff, I think you're going to be disappointed.
Wait, Shelby, how do I ask for the sale and pitch price without feeling gross and icky and awkward and weird? Well, I have a little present for you if you do this right, and I'll teach you how to do this right, so I'll make sure you get this present, okay? This is the last of the sales conversation. As soon as you say price, the guard of your client goes way back up. Okay, so I need you to get a commitment that is non-monetary before you ask them for a monetary commitment, essentially the price of the product, okay?
I like this. I think she's framing this really well in terms of the close. As the close really is only 10% of the conversation. Whenever I'm reviewing a call, I barely look at the close. I look at the discovery because the discovery part of the call is where all of the gap building and the tension is created. And we kind of alluded to this just before when we talk about reverse selling. So the reason why reverse selling is so powerful is because they will tell you the reasons why they need the thing. And we can expand on this in a little bit in a moment, but let's just see what she has to say.
For example, I want you to ask them something along the lines of, really quick, specifically about the process, how are you feeling? Out of everything you saw, what were 2 things that you think would be most beneficial to you right now? Those are good, like, transitionary ones, but this is what we call a microbiome. Okay, here regarding price, like, we'll get into that, but do you actually believe that you're at a time and place right now where you can dedicate X amount of time to solving this issue? And they'll be like, yeah, I can dedicate this amount of time. What do? We got them to commit to us something that wasn't about price. Then you can smoothly transition to, okay, awesome. Now let's talk about how to actually get you there.
This is really good. I really like this. I like the micro commitment. This fires up Cialdini's law of consistency and commitment, where someone is more likely to act in accordance with the commitment that they have already made. So they said, yes, I'm going to make the time. They're more likely to say yes later. Now, all of this is where the art meets the science stuff is we can never control the outcome of a close, but it's about stacking probabilities in our favor. So if we do these little micro commitments of getting some kind of buy-in, then we're more likely to close the deal. So you could say something. So when we transition from discovery to close, we say, so these were the problems that you're experiencing. Yep, cool. Did I miss anything? No. So when I say, did we miss anything? That's a micro commitment. They're literally saying, no, you didn't miss anything. Right? So the presupposition of that is, yes, you understand my problem. Okay, cool. And so these were the outcomes of the goals that we talk about. Does that sound right to you? Yes, it sounds right to me. Again, another micro commitment. Then as we get into the close, so, okay, cool. So based on where you are now, where you want to be, what do you need from us in order to make that happen? Then they'll tell us all of the things that they need from us in order to make that happen. And this is, again, micro commitment. If you imagine that, we're on one side and they're on the other side, when they start telling us all the reasons they want to buy, they start moving closer to us. So they can stand eventually on the same side of the table. We can both look at the problem together and say, well, what do you think about solving this? So we are stacking micro commitments in our process. We stack a lot more of them. And we don't necessarily, because sometimes this can trigger a little bit of that, like, oh, I'm being sold to response, which is the, oh, well, I like this and I like this. It's like, yeah, okay, that's all right. But if we do it this way, it's slightly more subtle. Then after that, we go, was there anything else that you needed from us in order to make this goal happen? No, I think that's all of it. Okay, cool. Just a couple more questions. Then we ask these things called reverse qualifications, which are, so why is now the right time to do this? So we're getting ahead of that. Now's not the right time and the urgency. Then we ask a competition question, which is plenty of other sales trainers out there at the moment. So why are we the right fit for you? We're getting them to tell us. So micro commitment, micro commitment, micro commitment. Okay, cool. And then we get to the close part, which is, look, we can take care of all of those things that you mentioned. It happens in 3 phases. Phase 1 is blah, phase 1 is 2, and phase 1 is 3. The investment for that is ABC. And then we sort of let them sit with that and we go, does that sound good to you? And just get it out, right? Like don't worry about trying to shuffle it in or trying to mute it, or just say it like a normal human being, right? These are the 3 phases. The investment is X. Does that sound good to you? Where would you like to go from here? Did you have any questions about that process? So the magic is in your actual 3 phases, which is probably a little bit beyond this video, but it's effectively like when I'm talking about selling to a company or a salesperson, let's just use salesperson, for example, right? They want to go from $7,000 to $8,000 commission to 15 to 20. We would say something along the lines of, okay, so it happens in 3 phases. The first one is we need to get your inner game sorted, because most of the time when it comes to consistently making more money, it's that your inner world is prohibiting you from actually making that happen. So we need to get your subconscious on board with your external results so you can be consistent. The second thing that we do is we upskill. So we actually review your stuff, we make you better at sales, get all the fundamentals dialed in. And the third thing is we optimize. So we listen week to week onto your calls to make sure that you're actually doing the right things in the right sequence, in the right orders, to consistently close deals, to consistently hit the numbers that you want to hit. So we have a 3-phase approach. And I talk about this in another video as well. I can't remember which one. It might be the Andy Elliott one, where it's a 3-phase close, where you need your 3 phases. You need your 3 steps to make it simple for the prospect to understand how to move forward.
And you can pitch the price like this. When you go to Starbucks and you order something at the window, say like iced matcha vanilla latte, sugar-free, because we're not fat, okay? I don't hate fat people. I just don't think you should drink lots of sugar in your coffee. Anyways,
You've got to give it to her, man. Like, she really does have personality. She is really charismatic. I can see why people like her.
order your drink. Then you roll up to the window with the little person, okay? And I can say little person because I used to be this barista. What are they?
The little person, that's so condescending, but sure. Like, you can't help but like her, right? She is charismatic. She is funny.
They don't go, okay, awesome. So for your iced matcha vanilla latte, it's going to be $7. Is that okay? What do? You roll up to the window. They're like, okay, awesome. It's going to be $7 for your matcha latte. And they're doing something in the background, and they're literally holding an Apple Pay little payment processor thing in your face. And what do? You're like scrambling around. You're like, shit, I should have had my card ready. I'm so sorry. $2 tip, because we always tip our baristas. Well, why did I bring up this story? Well, pitching price is your energy. Okay, this should not be, oh my gosh, are they going to say yes? What are they going to say? It's, they're already so bought in because I sold them in the 80% of the sale that now this last 10% is just simply tying up the bow of the last minute strands of the deal because they're already so bought in and so sold. Now we're just actually making it a reality when I show them the price. Or you can do an option close, which is essentially asking them not if they're going to do it, it's, hey, out of these packages, like which one are you going to do? And I'll show you what that looks like way down here, okay?
So I actually like this as well. A mentor of mine used to say, price should be like bread. So the same way that we would describe a slice of bread is the same way that we want to produce the price. So the investment to do this is $10,000. You can either take care of that in full or we can organize a payment plan for you. Or the other way is like we have two options. So we have the done with you option where there's an online course. You can do it like with us and our coaching team, or we have the done for you option. And it really just depends on what you value more. If you value money more, you can do the other one. If you value time, you can do the done for you. Which one do you think you'd want to go for? So we can set up this idea called a double bind where it creates the illusion of choice, where we say, these are the two options. You can either do option one or option two. And it makes them feel like they have choice, but it's really we're presenting it in a way where they're both options that we would like them to take.
The left side of the brain is all about logic. The deal has to make sense mathematically, process-wise, and at an objective angle. It has to make sense for somebody to pull the trigger. Okay, but then we have the right side of the brain. This is the emotional, creative, fluid side of the brain. And our job as a closer is to include both logic and emotion when talking to a buyer. You can't just sell with logic or just sell with emotion.
The reason why is this happens a lot in B2B, where if we have a logic to logic sale, there's no urgency. So the logic to logic sale is like benefit, feature, benefit, feature, benefit. And there's no sense of urgency. There's no fire under their bum. But the inverse is also true. So if we just do emotion, so it's emotional reasons and problems and then emotional outcomes, I call this, and I love the guy, right? This is not a dig at him, but I call this the Tony Robbins sale, where you're in the room and it's like peak pain and your pain sucks, and then peak awesome, and then the life's going to be amazing. Everyone stand up and run to the back of the room. That's an emotional sell, right? And if there's no logic, we get massive buyer's remorse. And you tend to get massive refund rates if you end up convincing people emotionally without any logic to back it up.
Okay, so you might be thinking to yourself, will I be good at sales? Like, what's the difference between some people that kill it in sales and some people that just burn out and die? Well, the answer is sales is 80% the energy that you bring into it and your mindset, okay?
I don't think so. There's a certain skill set that is required that I would say makes up most of it. The other part that's missing when they say that it's 80% mindset is the quality of the offer that you have. So if we think about a founder, you could have a really skilled salesperson, and I've seen this, but because the marketing system is somewhat underdeveloped or undercooked, i.e., for example, there's a lead magnet, someone opt in, it's free, Setter calls them, books them in the calendar. That person has no clue what the business does, yet the salesperson is expected to close that person on what? They don't even know the company. That in terms of the education spectrum, Edward Schwartz, I think is his name, where he talks about problem aware, problem unaware, etc., the 5 stages of awareness. This person has no idea about the company. So we're actually expecting the closer to do the education on the call. Now they can do that, but this is 2 separate skill sets. If you want a closer to do education and selling, you have to be able to train the closer to do the education and do the selling. Most closers only know the selling. They don't have the marketing knowledge of understanding how do I actually educate this person to understand the offer and understand the mindset required. That's typically a marketing job. So when they say 80-20 mindset, it's not true. I would say a third your skill set, a third your mindset, and a third actually the offer that you sell. And so if you're a founder, you need to make sure that there's good education before the call. You can either get your setters to do that, or you can develop things like, there's a guy on YouTube named Jeremy Haynes. He's developed this thing called breakout pages, where on the thank you page, it's all of the due diligence. And you want to think about, once the prospect moves from curiosity about the offer and they go to book the call, now they're in justification mode. So it's different. They're looking to justify, why should I spend my time doing this or showing up to the call? So if we can put all that information for them, if we can do the due diligence for them on that page, we're going to educate them, which means when they show up to the closing call, the closer doesn't have to educate them, so their close rates are going to be higher. So this 80-20 mindset thing, it's not true, right? There's a massive part that your offer plays a part, and I see so many closers get disheartened about their own skill set because they're expected to make up part of what the marketing is supposed to do, and they don't have that skill set. They have a closing skill set. They don't have a marketing skill set. Now, it is learnable, right? But I just need you to understand that there's 2 skill sets. There's the education, and then there's the selling. Education is typically a marketing skill. So if you're a closer or if you're a founder expecting your closers to be marketers, you're not going to have a good time.
I mean, do y'all think I would close any sort of deals or be taken seriously looking like this? Absolutely the fuck not. Let me go change. Okay, I'll be back. Oh, okay, that's better. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, you need to have an amazing energy around yourself as a closer in order to motivate people to achieve their higher selves. Okay, so no, you don't have to be a supermodel, take yourself with makeup, or wear your hair a certain way. But you do need to look good in order to feel good, in order to perform at your best self to help other people.
I actually disagree with this. You might have had this experience as well, where the people are way too energetic. So they're way over the top. It's enthusiastic. It's like the Andy Elliott review that we broke down, where people are really, really, really intense. Like, you must buy, you must do this. I'm going to let my enthusiasm and my conviction convince you to. What I think you find is, as you sell to more sophisticated buyers, the more over the top you are, the more it sets off alarm bells of this person is performative and they're trying to sell me something, rather than this person is a consultant. They're actually intently listening. They're asking smart, intelligent questions. They're grounded, they're consistent, and they're prescribing a solution. And it's kind of this puppy dog energy versus the older lion, or like the lion who's been the head of the pack for 30 years. He's just kind of reserved. He knows his stuff. He knows when to act. He knows not when to act. He's not this, exuberant, over the top, excited, bouncing off the walls person that people just kind of look at and go, eh. So I would say the more sophisticated your market, the more sophisticated your buyer. By sophisticated, I mean, they've done this before, right? They've made considered purchases like this before. They're no stranger to spending $10 to $30 to $50 to $100,000. The more sophisticated that buyer, the more grounded and reserved you need to be, the more professional you need to be. Now, should you show up like a sloppy mess and like blah, 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 and not be able to speak well? No, of course not. But that's a given. If you're watching this, chances are you're not showing up like that anyway. But this over the top, like, I need to sell to you, is more evident of Shelby's door-to-door experience, which is going cold door-to-door, and she has to perform in order to win that sale. It's not necessary to close high-ticket deals. It's not necessary to sell that way. You can sell in a more grounded, inquisitive, warm, but consistent energy.
And I'll teach you how to preserve your own energy as a closer while you are getting rejected. Because guess what? Well, that's part of the game in sales, okay? You are going to get told no over and over and over and over and over and over again, but that
Clicking is too much, eh? Could you tell she was in a sorority?
Yes is going to make you so much money that it makes all of the other no's worth it. Okay, and this is how I need you to think of sales, okay? It is a numbers game. So when you get told no, how do you stay in good energy? That way, when you get to that one yes, you can be in good energy, in good motivation to be able to claim that yes.
So that's not the worst thing in the world, right? Like, it really is a numbers game. And I see this with the closers I coach all the time. The most difficult part about coaching someone in sales is keeping them emotionally consistent. I had a friend of mine who was coaching a sales team doing about $500,000 a month. And he called me up one day and he goes, "Do you feel like reps are the most emotional creatures on the planet?" And I was like, "Yes, dude. Half of my job, if I'm coaching a high ticket sales rep to make $20,000, $30,000 a month, is to keep their emotions consistent. To teach them the tools of emotional regulation so they don't let one bad day make a bad week, make a bad month, and cause this in their income, the roller coaster in their income." So she's not wrong. I think it's a simplified idea where sales is a numbers game. I would say sales is a game of emotional regulation. The ability to withstand the negative effects of sales, where you're just getting beat up day after day, prospects are assholes, the lead quality is crap, you're not getting as many leads as you want to, maybe get a refund, that kind of stuff. It's the ability to face that disappointment with enthusiasm.
I always say sales is personal development disguised as a job. You need to be on your shit. Okay, so get your habits and your personal life in order. That way you have the confidence that can transfer into high energy that you... Okay, so let's back up, because how do I even know what to say to the person in front of me? How do I sell them? Well, you don't. Okay, I want you to think of yourself as the doctor. Okay, the doctor doesn't just come in and straight trying to sell you stuff and prescribe you, okay? He instead sits down, okay, he leans back, he takes out his little clipboard thingy, and he essentially just asks you why you're in pain. What's going on? Tell me a little bit about this. When did it start? What's going on? What does it feel like? Is it sharp? Is it dull? He listens to your problem.
This is great. I love this as well. I use the doctor metaphor all of the time. We go one step further and we say prescribing solutions without knowing the symptoms would be considered malpractice. So if we go to sell something without understanding what the prospect's problems are, how long they've existed, what other areas of life has it been affecting, then we would be committing malpractice. And so I think she's absolutely nailed this frame at the moment, is what are the symptoms? The only thing with the doctor analogy is doctors don't tend to future pace of what do you want to be feeling instead, like where do you want to go in the future? But that's okay. If you can imagine the persona of being a doctor, that your calls should be like a doctor, you're going to do it right. I mean, this is a little bit, we're sensing a little bit of internal conflict here as well. Is like on one side she's saying, be a character, be high energy. On the other side she's saying, be a doctor. Doctors aren't over the top, bombastic, and overly enthusiastic. And if you did have one, you'd probably think that doctor was a bit of a kook. And you often see them as TV personalities kind of pushing things that are not maybe approved, but we won't go down that rabbit hole. But I think there's a little bit of sort of contradiction here between the two things that she's saying. Is one side of the coin, you say, be energetic, be amazing, like be somebody else. On the other side, you say, sell like a doctor, be consultative. So there's a little bit of contradiction here that I don't love, but other than that, the doctor metaphor is fantastic.
He doesn't prescribe you right away. So pause and ask. That way you can figure out the root causes. And there's a specific way that I want you guys to ask your questions. Okay, I want you to ask these people 3 types of bucket questions. This process is called gap selling. Okay, we ask our clients 3 different types of questions in order to expose the gap in where they're at right now versus where they want to be. Why? Well, this creates true urgency. Okay, everybody thinks urgency in sales is built when you tell a client there's 3 spots left or the discount expires tonight. But that's just simply not true. That will only attract broke buyers who are scared of not getting a discount. And we don't like dealing with broke buyers, okay? And so it's also a little too pushy and slimy and aggressive for my liking, but that's just me.
Hey, we could agree on something. I think she's nailed it here. So all in all, I actually don't think it was as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think there's some substance here. I think it's good for beginners, but I think as soon as you start wanting to get some more veteran moves or start really understanding the structures behind what makes a sale happen, the depth isn't going to quite be there. So not as bad as I thought. Good on you, Shelby. If you guys love this kind of stuff, please consider liking and subscribing. And YouTube thinks that this video will be the next one that you should watch.